All right, question for chat. What is you guys' favorite number? Let me know. 3, 78, 21, 4. You're all wrong. My new favorite number is 9. You guys like the number 9? Any 9 fans in chat? You like it less in this context? All right, so we are currently looking at the current list of characters represented at Capcom Cup. This is not the final list. There is still, I think, 4 spots left to qualify. There are 4 slots left, but as of right now, Ken has overtaken Cammy as the most represented character in Capcom Cup with 9 Ken players. And the other thing is that I guess Cammy has a bunch of people using her as a secondary, whereas like 8 of the 9 Kens only use Ken. That is a lot of Kens. And let's take a quick trip down memory lane and refresh our memories. How did this compare to last year's Capcom Cup? This was the previous year's Capcom Cup. And, I mean, Ken's up there again. He's not the number 1 most used character last year. He was all the way down at the number 2 most used character in Capcom Cup with 8. So he's actually... there's more Kens now than there were last year. And there's potential to be even more depending on who wins the remaining qualifiers. So, today we are going to talk about what my good friend Phenom describes as the weakest Shoto. The man who has been the subject of a global downplaying conspiracy. We're talking about Ken. I want to break down why Ken is such a strong character in SF6, and I'm going to just sort of go through and highlight all of his best tools in this game. I want to kind of just give like an overview of what makes Ken such a consistently strong character in this game. Before that though, could you guys hit that subscribe button, please? Thanks very much. All right, so we'll start with, I think we'll start with a quick rundown of what I consider to be like Ken's best normals, the ones that really stand out to me, and I think have in some ways got stronger over time as this character has developed. And we're going to start first and foremost with this thing. Stand light kick. Now, I actually don't see that many people focus on stand light kick, but this is up there with like some of the best normals in the game. This thing is 5 frames, and it has almost the exact same range as Ed's crouch light kick. And as we all know, Ed's crouch light kick recently got nerfed to hell and back because Capcom decided having a 5 frame that long. I'm gonna have to change characters because Bison is fucking yelling at me right now. Yeah, so Ed's crouch light kick is basically functionally identical to this thing, and yet Ken's has remained untouched. So the thing about Ed is that not one of Ed's light normals is plus enough to link into his crouch light kick. This is probably by design. So there's no way to link into crouch light kick from Ed's lights. And there's also no way to link out of crouch light kick because this thing is only +2 on hit. Ken, for some reason, can link into his stand light kick. So this gives him, as well as this being an absolutely phenomenal poke, he can also hit confirm at ranges where like no other character can. Like, there are very few characters in this game that can do a 2 light confirm from what is like the max range of crouch medium kick. But Ken can. So like, this is amazing in so many ways. This normal is absolutely ludicrous. The only downside to this normal compared to Ed's is that you can't get a drive rush combo off it on regular hit, but you can do it on like counter hit and punish counter. That's the only downside I will give this normal, but even still, this thing is absolutely amazing. Up next in the Ken normals department is Ken's crouch medium kick. Now, Ken's crouch medium kick is probably the single best low forward in the game, because if you look where it says startup, just near Ken's knees, it says a number there, and that number is 7. And that number right there, being 7, is probably what makes it the best of the crouch medium kicks, because almost every other special cancelable crouch medium kick in this game is 8 frames or worse. This thing being 7, it doesn't seem like much. It's like 1 frame faster than Ryu's, for example. But that 1 frame of difference, like, I can't stress enough how many situations Ken comes out on top in footsies because this thing is 7 frames. It's not the only 7 frame. It's about the same as Chun's. So this crouch medium kick, like I said, absolutely amazing in footsies. And obviously you buffer this thing into drive rush. Like, Ken is kind of low forward drive rush personified. We'll get into all that nonsense in a minute, but for now let's just stick with the crouch medium kick and not overcomplicate things. Next normal that I think is worth mentioning, stand medium kick. This one again is actually not one that I see get brought up that much. This is one of the best punish moves in the game. So this thing is 8 frames startup, but the range that it covers on frame 8 is almost uncontested by like any other character. There are so many moves in this game which are supposed to be like safe-ish if you space them properly, that Ken can just always punish with stand medium kick. So like, let me show you an example. So here's an example. This is Ryu medium donkey kick. And as you can see here, it's meant to be a move that's like, it's -8 on block, but it leaves you a very, very long way away. At max range, this is supposed to be basically safe. Except, Ken can punish it. And he can also link into a bunch of stuff afterwards. He can do stuff like that. So, again, I think like, unique punish options are, like, undervalued. And he also has the target combo, obviously. Yeah, you also have the target combo here. And as well as that, it's also worth pointing out, this target combo is actually single hit confirmable. So, like, strong Ken players can just fish for this thing in neutral. And then they will single hit confirm the first hit and get a knockdown into Oki. So yeah, amazing punish tool and also a hit confirm tool. Great range, great hitbox. Pretty damn good move. I want to, like, next move on to stand medium punch. But this one's kind of only an amazing normal in the context of, like, some other stuff. This thing is stand medium punch. It's actually quite stubby, but it's 5 frames startup, which is absolutely ludicrous for a medium in this game. And that has a bunch of side effects. It means that Ken has probably the most damaging 5-frame combo starter options in the game, off like certain -5s that leave him point blank. And also, he can link crouch jab into stand medium punch without a counter hit. But this by itself is not game breaking. There are a couple other characters that can do light to medium without counter hit. This is where things get a bit more like tied together with the full kits, but it's this right here is the like sum total of the issue. That. Again, I think this is kind of interesting because like Cammy got shot for this exact reason. Like, can we talk about how Capcom keeps applying nerfs to other characters but not to Ken? Because Cammy has a very similar thing, right? She can do crouch jab into back medium punch target combo and then side switch off it. She used to be able to do, yeah, Cammy used to be able to do a side switch into dive kick here. But Capcom decided that, like, this character being able to side switch off, like, a basic target combo starting from a jab was a little bit too much. So they nerfed that from Cammy, but once again, like, what? Ken just has it. Ken still has probably the single greatest side switch combo in the game right now. Side switch plus Oki plus 7 situation plus L plus ratio off a crouch jab. No counter hit, no punish counter. Anyway, so I've got one final normal I would like to complain about while we're on the normals section, by the way. And you knew this one was coming. Probably his single best normal, probably tied with stand light kick, is this thing. Good range. 5 active frames for some ludicrous reason. So it's like the easiest thing in the world to use as a meaty and make plus. Like, all you have to do is just knock your opponent down and then press stand fierce. Like, it's just the easiest meaty in the game. That was +1. Like, you don't need to know any, like, meaty setups for this thing. You just press it and it's probably plus. No frame kills required. Also, on punish counter, this thing is +7. And wouldn't you know it, Ken has a 7-frame crouch medium kick. So even at, like, long distances, if he whiff punishes with this thing, he gets crouch medium kick afterwards. It's also special cancelable, so it's very easy to just, like, you know, drive rush this thing for plus frames, especially in the corner. And that the fact that it's special cancelable also basically means that it's immune to DI a lot of the time. So if you were thinking of like DIing this thing, you're probably going to die for it. And the final thing about Stand Fierce I will mention is that Stand Fierce is a true block string into medium Jinrai. This string right here is insane. I'll cover this in a bit more detail when we talk about Jinrai specifically, but like this thing being a block string is crazy strong. Let's talk a bit about Ken's specials up next. Starting with Ken's Fireball. Specifically, his regular Fireball, not that great. I'll be honest, his regular Fireball, like he can use it to like roughly compete in some Fireball wars. His regular Fireball's not that good. His EX Fireball, absolutely amazing. Extremely good. And it's funny that this EX Fireball is the way that it is, because in every previous Street Fighter game in history, Ken's EX Fireball not knocking down is supposed to be a downside. Ken is not supposed to be the Fireball character. But within the system mechanics of Street Fighter 6, the fact that this thing doesn't knock down makes it 100 times better. So it not knocking down in this game with Drive Rush is actually a huge benefit. So anytime Ken is in a Fireball war, if you throw regular Fireball and he throws EX, if you guess wrong on this mind game, you're probably going to get taken straight to the corner, and then it's welcome to the blender. Also, as well as being able to meet other Fireballs with his own EX Fireball, they also gave him a surprisingly good anti-Fireball move. It's a little bit finicky and sometimes it can drop hits, but just having this is enough to be useful. Oh yeah, also his heavy DP is Fireball invincible for some reason. Don't know why that's the case. The other Shotos can't really do this. Okay, next thing. I've just written in my notes, in all caps, corner carry. Ken's corner carry, as we know, is absolutely ludicrous. That meaty jab is +6, by the way. Ken's run Tatsu specifically, this thing, absolutely insane amounts of corner carry. And you can go into it off all his most common combo starters, even from a jab. So like, most characters in this game, like 99% of the cast, if they land a jab, the combo is just like jab, jab, special. He can do jab, target combo, and then run you to the corner. And like I said, this Oki situation is actually really underrated. A lot of people don't talk about this, but as well as this thing doing insane corner carry, double dash stand jab here is +6 on hit, on block, +1. Yeah, normally +1 wouldn't be that good, because +1 is not enough to get a guaranteed tick throw. However, unless you already forgot, Ken has a 5-frame medium, which means if he presses stand medium punch on that +1, this is what will happen. Ken is +8 after this trade. Damn, I should play Ken. This was meant to be like a Ken strength explanation video. This is not supposed to be a holiday pamphlet. You're not supposed to watch this and think, damn, I want to play Ken. I'm trying to convince you kids to not play Ken. It's like those Dare adverts, you know. Ken, not even once. You start off with soft drugs like Akuma and Ryu, but they're gateway Shotos. 6 months from now, you'll be lying in a ditch playing Ken, talking about how actually Jinrai isn't that strong. And I don't want that life for you guys, okay? I'm trying to save you here. So as well as all of his offensive options that I just mentioned, Ken also has extremely good defensive options. He's got an invincible EXDP, as all Shotos do. His level 1 is one of the small number of wake-up level 1s that will escape the corner for you. And on top of that, I think it's worth mentioning that one of the strongest things you can have on a level 1, in my opinion, in this game, is the input being quarter circle back. And this actually matters a lot, because it means that you can buffer Ken's level 1 while blocking. This is really, really important. So like, you can just be in the corner, look like you're teabagging, and just do this. And then if you see your opponent go for like a DI or some kind of like frame trap, you just press kick. and it kind of option select blocks for you. It's kind of like playing on modern, yeah. Very underrated trait. His other supers are good too. Like, we should also talk about how, like, his level 2 is kind of a unique super where this thing isn't actually invincible. You know, you can't use this thing as a wake-up option. But to make up for that, it is lightning fast. This thing starts up in 6 frames. Which means that, again, sort of similar to his stand medium kick, there's a ton of stuff which Ken can punish with level 2. Yeah, so this is a good example. So, like, DJ's crouch medium kick is -6, but at max range, it leaves you a hell of a long way away. Almost no character can punish this, except Ken can. So this, to make up for this thing not being good as a wake-up option, they made it an amazing punish tool. I should also mention, Ken has an amazing level 3. And this is a thing that I don't mention much, because level 3s in this game generally are pretty universal, right? Most level 3s do the same amount of damage. They all just activate a big cinematic. So I usually don't compare level 3s, but Ken somehow also won the level 3 lottery, because if you hit his level 3 normally, it's just a standard level 3. Big damage plus cinematic animation. However, if you don't get the animation on his level 3, for example, if you use it as like an anti-air, that happens. And there are a few characters who have this. Ryu does this, Terry does this. You lose a bunch of damage and you don't get the cinematic. But for some reason, unlike every single other character this can happen to, like Guile, for example, Capcom just said, oh, we feel bad for Ken, so we're actually going to let you continue the combo if this happens. So, Ryu can't do that, Guile can't do that, Terry can't do that, but Ken can. He just gets to keep going on the combo. And sometimes you actually get some pretty damn huge extensions that make up for the lost damage here. So if Terry does anti-air level 3 and doesn't get the animation, this does 3k. Ken can do 4360 off that, which is quite a lot more than 3k. It might even be more than the raw level 3. Hang on, is that more? Is that more than the animation? That's more than the animation. So he can actually do more damage from the non-cinematic version than the cinematic version. Now, I've mentioned all of the things about Ken that I think are really strong, but a few of you might be thinking, didn't you forget a move? And I actually, this is the one bit of, like, leeway I will give the Ken community, right? This is the one thing about Ken people say is good, which I think is not good at all. And it's this thing right here. Dragon Lash. Specifically Heavy Dragon Lash. This is kind of a scrub killer move, in my opinion. It is plus on block. And at, like, low to mid level, Ken players will spam this thing 24/7. I don't think this thing's very good at all. It's very slow, and if you try and use this more than, like, maybe once per match in high level, you will probably die, because this thing is very easy to DI. You can jab him out of it. You can perfect parry it. It's just kind of like a test if are you asleep at the wheel kind of move. So this is the one thing that I will say. I see people complain about Dragon Lash a lot, but I don't think this move is very good, and I am not scared of it at all. But before you accuse me of now being a Ken up player, we're going to close out by talking about another special. This thing. Jinrai, 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 Jinrai. This is obscene. I hate Jinrai. I've been complaining about Jinrai since day -200 when the first beta came out. I do not understand the, like, logic behind this move. And I think it is very badly designed. So, just a quick rundown. And I'm mostly going to be talking about medium Jinrai here, specifically. Like, light and heavy are kind of not the issue. Because light Jinrai is, like, Giga minus. And heavy Jinrai is very slow. Doesn't combo off most things. Medium Jinrai is the truly diabolical one. Because if you're brand new to this game, I'm going to give you a guide on how to get Ken from, like, rookie rank to 1700 MR Master. You ready? Do that. This string is so dumb and has so little counterplay for so many characters. Can you DI that? No, you cannot DI this, because, as I mentioned earlier, Stand Fierce into medium Jinrai is a true block string, so there is no gap here to DI, and then if you try and DI the second gap, this will happen. You cannot DI this string at all. Only a preemptive DI before I've even pressed Stand Fierce will work. So, Jinrai low is -5. And the amount of characters that can actually punish a spaced -5 with this much pushback is extremely low. Even Ken himself doesn't get a reliable punish on this thing, and he's got the best 5 frame in the game. So yeah, even Ken's own privilege is not enough to let him punish Jinrai low at distance. So the only way that you can punish... There's only really 2 options, really, if you want to punish this string. Perfect parry is the universal one. You can do that. But then that's kind of where the mind game starts, because if you try and tap parry and they don't go into the low, they'll just stop here and then just do walk up throw, and this will punish counter you if you try and perfect parry. So it's basically just a mind game with that. And the other punish, which a few people in chat are screaming at me to use, is this. EXDP. Now, I have 2 problems with this punish. You can EXDP here. That is true. But I think there is 2 big problems here. Number 1, EXDP is not universal, right? Half the cast has no access to this punish. Even Wake Up Supers are not reliable here, because the first hit of Jinrai is -7. And that means for this to be a guaranteed punish, you need a 7 frame super. And not many characters have that. There are very few characters in this game that have a 7 frame super. The other reason why this sucks is because getting hit by the EXDP here isn't even a bad thing. This thing chunks so much of your goddamn drive gauge. It is insane. As I said earlier, Stand Fierce into Jinrai is a true block string. And if you do this whole thing, this takes over a bar away from the opponent. And so if your opponent tries to break out with like an EXDP, like this, even if this happens, look how much drive the opponent lost. They have now gone from 6 bars of drive to 3 and a pixel in exchange for 1,640 damage and no Oki without spending another bar on Drive Rush. So even in the case where your character is able to blow out of this thing with an EX reversal, I would still argue that the winner of this exchange is the Ken that gets hit, because drive is far more important than health. So I don't want people to try and tell me, I'm sick of people telling me that like Jinrai is countered by EXDPs, because a lot of the time, it's just not worth it to EXDP here because the drive exchange is so brutal. You cannot afford to spend 3 bars there a lot of the time. It also builds, as well as draining drive from the opponent, it also builds back Ken an absolutely insane amount of drive. So like, look at a situation like this. We're going to do Stand Fierce, Drive Rush, Stand Fierce as like a basic pressure starter. And then we're going to frame trap, and then we're going to go into Jinrai. Now normally, if my opponent has gone for like 6 frame traps in a row and failed them all, and they've done a Drive Rush extension, you would expect, at the very least, to have a drive advantage. But like, look at this situation. I'm spending 3 bars of drive for this. By the end of it, we're basically even. You know, like, we're practically even in drive because of how much this shreds your drive while restoring Ken's. Anyway, so that's Ken. Like I said, Ken's extremely well-rounded and strong in this game. He's good everywhere on the screen. And hopefully this gives people an idea of why Ken's been so consistently well-represented competitively since day one, because he's never really been nerfed much either. They've like nerfed a few small things here and there, like his EXDP Oki is worse now, but like none of it really addresses any of his actual strong stuff. They've never actually gone for any of his main tools. So Ken has basically stayed the same for a long time now. Anyway, please feel free to leave a 2,000-word essay in the comments below explaining how filthy Aki player needs to stop whining and learn the matchup, that kind of thing. I know you guys already started writing that as soon as you saw the video title. and I will see you all in the next video.